Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, Season 1, Episode 10, Ain't Gnome Party Like a Wizard's Party. So, Episode 10 actually came out of November this year. Some people know that, some people didn't. I remember I was on I think Wikipedia, and I was researching something on the show, and I'm like, 10th episode, but only 9's on Disney Plus. So what the heck is going on? So it turns out the 10th episode is actually on Disney now. They got rid of the app, but you can watch it on the web, which I ain't watched a television show on the computer in forever, man. Since the early 2000s, bringing me all the way back to that. And so I hate watching television on the computer because of my tinnitus. So I have to sit way back, and turn the volume up. And then I have to adjust the screen so that the glare, I can actually see it and everything. I tried to watch it on my tablet. Two of them, but it would not play for some reason on my tablet. I don't know what's going on with my tablets. And I wanted to cast it to my TV, but it wouldn't let me. I couldn't even play the videos on my tablet. Man, seriously. TVs need a web page or something. There is one, but I ain't paying for it. And so with this episode, I have some really strong mixed feelings about this episode and the rest of this series now going forward. For the most part, I've been just okay with this series. It's a good series, but it doesn't fully live up to what the original Wizards was, And I feel that way more now because I've been rewatching the older show, and I'm just like, man, the new show just doesn't compare to this old show in terms of the funniness and everything. But after watching this 10th episode, I'm now starting to question this new series because it's kind of the pacing is way too slow, and there are just other little things I'll get to a little bit later. So one thing I never knew is that I assumed the original creator of Wizards of Waverly Place created this show, but it turns out no. That dude did not create this show. And you can tell by the difference in the storytelling and the jokes. Apparently, the person who created this show are the two creators of Raven's Home. So this explains a lot. Now, I never watched Raven's Home except for the first episode because, I don't like Raven-Symoné. And guess who directed this episode? Raven-Symoné. Well, actually, Raven-Symoné, I should say. That's how you say her last name. And so even before I found out she directed this episode, I still didn't like it. So no, when I have my gripes about this episode, it has nothing to do with my disdain towards her. The reason why I don't like this episode is because it's a filler episode. It's a bit boring and lackluster. There's no real depth or character development. It's not overall funny. And the thing that's supposed to be scary isn't overall scary. Also, it just feels flat. And there's no effort into the directing. There's no unique camera angles. There's nothing fun with magic in this episode. And characters just tend to disappear throughout the episode. And then not disappear as in magic, but they'll set something up, and then it'll go in a completely different direction, and then they'll pop back up in the middle towards the end, and that's about it. Because there's a couple of storylines going around. There's the A plot line between that of Billy. I think her name is Narissa. I think her name is Billy's friend from the Wizarding World, and Winter. Then there's the B plot between Milo and the Gnome. Then there is a somewhat C plot between Rome, or Roman, he calls himself Rome now, I'm trying to be slick, Roman, and Iggy, this like fairy girl. And then there's kind of like a D plot between that of Justin and Gianna. And it's just like there are too many storylines going around in this 20 something minute episode. Like there are two big ones. Actually, there's one big one. There's one slight medium one, and then there are just two tiny ones. They should have condensed it down a little bit more. And so, like, first, let me just say, with this new series, I love Billy's hair. Billy is always styling it up, whether it's in clothes, whether it's the hair. Like, the girl got some great fashion sense. And so, like, her hair is always on point. And I love that and everything. I love how she does so many different, like, styles with her braids. And this style is very reminiscent of Sailor Moon with the whole buns and like the long hair braided type stuff coming down. It's so reminiscent of Sailor Moon, and I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan, but it's also reminiscent of that of Myra from Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Myra more than that of Sailor Moon because of the way the pigtails come down in the front as opposed to the back attached to the buns. And so I'm wondering if this is something they just came up with the middle, on top of their head, or were they like a fan of like one of these two shows and did that. And so this reminds me of the old Disney Channel when they would have like their characters be very stylish and, you know, trying to get the kids to want to like look like them and everything. While I get that appeal, I kind of hope it doesn't go back to that because, whoo, there was some crazy times in Disney Channel and everything. But anyways, so Winter and Billy, they're playing like some type of operation type game, right? And Billy's just kind of like, you know, we have like funner games or whatever in the Wizarding World. And she talks about like her friend from the Wizarding World. And then her friend contacts her on her wand. And I like the new effect. It's FaceTiming with your wand. So much cooler than just talking with your wand like it's a cell phone. Like, I like the whole FaceTime thing. However, what happened to the little butterfly message type thing? You know what I'm saying? But hey, whatever. So her friend decides to join in and visit the mortal world. Mykal-Michelle Harris. So you might recognize her. She was from Raven's home and everything the last two seasons. I think her name is Countess, something like that. But yeah, I was wondering, why does she sound like Raven Simone and everything? She's acting like Raven Baxter. This is why. And so she's her best friend from the Wizarding World. And apparently they're called like the Chaos Queens and everything because they're such bad girls. And so she's starting to think that Billy's getting a little soft. So because of that, Billy's going to throw a party at Justin's house. And there are tons of wizards at this like party. And there's even some kind of like werewolf looking dude and everything. And so it's kind of like, how does Justin and them not know there's a party going on in their own house? First of all, you're not that bad. Well, actually, you are bad if you're going to throw a party and the parents are still there. But the parents are in the garage cleaning it out. And they actually almost got away with the whole thing until the end. So anyway, they're at the party and everything. And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, how come nobody has intervened yet about Winter knowing about magic? I'm thinking, okay, yeah, they're doing that whole Harper thing. And like, you know, Harper knew about it and it was really no big deal because most people in the Wizarding World didn't know about it. But aren't there people who's supposed to like, you know, observe the mortal world to make sure no magical whatever is doing anything crazy in the mortal world? And you think they would have that kind of like security and stuff now, you know? And so, like, I don't know. It's like, because nobody asked Winter, hey, are you immortal? So I guess they assume she's a wizard just living in the mortal world or like whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I can get that a pass. But at some point in time, because even with the original one, Harper was doing all this other stuff and nobody got on to her about knowing about magic. So it would just be nice, if they would just set up this whole, hey, you expose wizards, magic and everything to the mortal world and you're in trouble, because a lot of fans have been pointing this out for like the longest time. Especially in this series, but we go back to the original, it happens in the original a lot too, and nobody really complained, because I guess we were just enjoying the show. But now that we're older, we're kind of like, hey, look, something's got to give and everything. Like, how is it? Because even Narissa and everything, she never, like, she knows Winter's like mortal, but she doesn't care and everything. And it's just like, how are people not getting in trouble because of this? So anyway, so to up herself, Billy decides to create a something door. I forget what it's called in the show. Crap, what is it called? A dark door or something like that. I can't remember what his name is. And apparently this whole door thing leads to a pocket dimension that's supposed to be so scary that no kid has lasted more than 5 minutes. Or no wizard, period. So Billy doesn't want to go in there because she's too scared. But then all of a sudden, here comes Winter, harpering it up and going inside. So of course, Billy has to follow her in there. And the problem I have with this, at first I'm thinking, oh my God, like that hooded figure is there to get Billy, right? No, that's not that same hooded figure from an episode ago. This is just something that lives in this pocket dimension. And so, like, and there's no magic in this pocket dimension, so you can't use it. So all it does is it just chases you, but by walking, because apparently this thing doesn't run, it just glides and everything. So you can easily make an escape and hide in the fog, which is what the girls do. And they leave there within a couple of seconds of being trapped in there. And so I'm all like, that's what's so scary? That's what, like, wizards and kids can't, like, stand to be in for more than 5 minutes? It was nothing scary about it. It's a black room with fog and a person in a cloak who slowly comes at you. That is it. And I'm just kind of like, what was so scary about that? And not only that, but it wasn't impressive. And so then, like, when they escape there, Billy tells, like, Narissa, why don't you do it since you're so big and brave? But she doesn't want to. So then Billy just decides to make everybody go home. Now, if this would have been the old Wizard show, they would have had it to where something horrible would have happened in that room that would have to cause the other wizards to come and save the day, or like the parent and everything, right? Not only that, or like I say, a creature would escape into the real world and they would have to stop it. Something adventurous, something magical, but nothing literally happened in there. It was so uninteresting, so boring, and so lame. Also, with this whole like Billy and Narissa thing being the Chaos Queens, neither one of them seem all that bad. Yes, they're both clone versions of Alex. I get that. But like, Narissa, she's hard-headed, but not really that bad. She's rude in the sense of, oh, you've changed, you've gone soft and this and that. What is so bad about Billy? I've been wondering, because Billy's supposed to be a bad girl who gets kicked out of every home she's in school and stuff like that. But whenever you see Billy on the show, she's not that bad. She's a little hard-headed, but she's not bad. Alex is bad to the bone. Alex literally tried to get Max to go to clown school during the summer, to where she faked an application. She schemed it all up in her head. She changed her appearance to look like somebody else. But then this person recognized her because of something bad she did, what wizard police had to get on to her off screen. And it's so bad she won't even say what it is. She is a bad girl. She ruins stuff to where magic is almost exposed to the whole world. She is the type of person that could cause like the whole world to self-destruct because of whatever it is that she does. But Billy seems very tamed. And so maybe Billy was a really, really bad girl back in the day, and now she's trying to make amends to it. Because when you see her on the show, she's pretty nice. She tried to make breakfast for Gianna and Justin a couple of episodes ago, and and nobody had to teach her a lesson in this episode. She learned the lesson on her own, realizing that she don't need nothing to prove to Narissa, and that Winter's a good friend, and accepts me for who I am, and I like it over here in the mortal world. She doesn't understand anything about it, and it's just like, and she made all those kids go away and everything. And it's just kind of like, I wish the show would stop trying to make her into the next Alex. And that's a problem I'm having with this show, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Also, all these kids are from the Wizarding World, and yet they seem to understand. Well, actually, you don't really see them interact with people, so they seem to be as normal can be. So why does Billy is like the only person who doesn't know what nothing is in the mortal world? That's like a odd thing, because we've seen other wizards know stuff about the mortal world and everything in the old show. And it's because these new creators, I don't believe they truly sat down and watched every episode of Wizards. I don't believe that at all. And I mean at all. It just seems like they skimmed and watched a couple of episodes and think they know stuff about it. But David has been on that show, so he should know everything about the show. But then he's an executive producer, so maybe there are just some things he just doesn't want to relive in the old show and want to change it up. But anyways, they later finally get caught the last couple of seconds because the werewolf dude was still in the house using the bathroom, and that's when Gianna and Justin realized something was going on. Now, let me hurry up and get to the C plot real fast. Also, I would have liked it more if Narissa and Winter were more jealous and upset with each other to have some drama, but Winter's just being overly Harper at this point, and Narissa is just slightly irritated, but not really. It's like they don't want no drama or no suspense in this show. Now, what's interesting is that Billy and Narissa said they know somebody named Phoenix. The only person with that last name I can think of was that evil dude who tried to take Alex powers back in the day. What was it, Giacomo or something like that? The C plot. So it's Roman and Iggy. Iggy is a fairy, and these two are starting to crush on each other. Very similar to Justin crushing on mythical creatures and stuff like that. So once again, they're doing those old tropes from the old show, and I wish they wouldn't. I wish they would be their own character. But those two have a lot in common, like to watch documentaries and this and that. And so maybe she'll be a recurring character. The D plot is basically just Justin and Gianna cleaning out the garage, and he's a hog. Like, he will keep like his son's test with an A on it or something, and doesn't want to throw it away, and she has to make him. These two are so uninteresting, and they're so uninteresting in the show, this episode, and with the laugh track constantly laughing, it's just like I'm not finding nothing funny. And it's just kind of like, I like Gianna and everything, but her and Justin don't seem to have no chemistry. Like, Justin likes these mythological, creature type people with an edge, to the point where he gets kind of scared of being around them, but then later doesn't. Like the whole Juliet thing, and I get why Juliet can't be on the show because, I think she's like the CEO of her own company, the actress. But they don't make no sense. It's like, why would they cast somebody who looks similar to Jennifer Stone? Because then that makes you think Justin really did like Harper, so he married a woman who looks similar to Harper, even though he's been dodging her all his teenage life. Now, of course, Jennifer Stone is so far the only star not to return to the show or been listed. Max is supposed to show up. Mason is supposed to show up. I don't know about Hugh Normus, but I bet at some point in the future he will. But of course, Jennifer Stone has not been invited yet. Many speculation is because people assume her and David don't get along in real life. On the podcast, when she was talking to the other David, she always mentioned how like David Justin is cocky in real life, and and like it rubbed her like the wrong way, and the way she talks about him make it really sound like she does not like him. Because he has a little bit of this arrogance to him, it seems like. Well, he's the executive producer on the show, and he can say who can and who can't be on the show, and so far she is not. So yeah, but why get somebody who is cast to look similar to her and has a slight bubbly personality like her? Like, you know what I'm saying? That I don't get that. It's, I just don't get that. So the B plot was probably the most odd part of the show, because that should have been like gold. That should have been cake. So Milo is supposed to grow a plant. It dies, and so he sees like Narissa, and she uses magic in front of him to make the plant. No, she creates a gnome, and it's just a gnome. And I'm all like, dude, if this was the old show, that gnome would have been played by a real human. You know what I'm saying? They just would have used some type of effect to make it small and big or whatever. Here it's just a gnome, and it's John DiMaggio, very famous voice actor. He is the one voicing it. So he makes the plant grow, and he's gonna con that of Milo, because Milo doesn't ask questions about what this magical thing is gonna do. So in return, the gnome switches minds with him. So now the gnome is inside Milo, and Milo is stuck and can just like, skip around and everything, because he can barely move, because he can't move his legs. And so you kind of like, okay, what is the gnome gonna do now that he's in Milo's body? Is he gonna do something crazy, outrageous? Is he gonna like expose magic? Are they gonna have to find a way to put him like back in his body? He just wants to ride a little bike. That's it. And he falls off at the moment he's on it, because he doesn't know how to use it. Only for Milo to make his way into the garage. Justin and Gianna see him, and then they force the gnome to switch back. And that is literally it. It was a lackluster storyline. A very lackluster storyline that could have had some real meat and juice to it, but no. And it's just kind of like, that's all they came up with. In the old show, oh, it would have went wackadoo and everything. And then there is Bella, who's kind of like the Frankie slash Gigi of the show. Remember, I think Frankie was his name. The little mobster dude who from season 1 used to stand outside the sub shop and like, harass like the family and be all like, you have to pay me and I'll tell you some information. That dude, she kind of looks like him, and she's mean like him, and she's mean like Gigi. Basically, she thinks Milo is hiding something, and she's gonna figure it out. So she's probably gonna figure out magic or something like that. And so my gripes so far with this episode and the show in general is, I'm tired of these carbon copies of the original cast. I want this new cast to be their own character. They owe it to these new stars. These new stars should be trying to make a name for themselves, try to help, like, figure out how their character is going to be, not just base it on the originals, because they're a watered down version of the originals. And I don't want to see that. Also, like, this show has got to get more comedic. Who is this show intended for? The adults that used to be younger watching this show, or just younger kids in general? Because it has this odd tone to it, to where it's very mature, but with a little bit of silliness to it. And I don't understand how that's for kids. And as for the adults, they just want to see what was the original show was like. Because you go back and watch the original show, you will not stop laughing and stuff. Then there is the character of Billy and Alex. Once again, I wish they would stop trying to make her into Alex and make her own character. Also, they need to speed up this whole thing with this like dark wizard that wants her magic. That is the big thing plot like, you know, arc of this show or season. And there's only been a tiny little bit of it. You would think that if evil wizards are after her, why in the world is she gonna throw a huge party with tons of wizards so they can go back into the wizarding world and expose her, giving up her location even more, even though the bad guys already know where it's at? They could have easily infiltrated the party and got her. That would have been interesting. This whole ruse of the person in the cloak in that little box dimension was nothing more but a red herring. It wasn't even that dark like wizard. That is boring. Not only that, but like, why is she so powerful that this dark wizard wants her magic and nobody else's? There are other people more powerful than her. If she's so powerful and everything, what I wish they would do is that every time she uses her magic, like something huge will happen. Like it's so powerful. Like say she makes a book levitate. Instead of going a few like inches or feet in the air, let it go out into orbit, out into space, showing that, oh, she's so powerful, she can't control it. Like, because you know what I'm saying? Plus, you gotta think about it. Who's ever the head of WizTech, they are super powerful. Alex is an extremely powerful person. So here's the one interesting thing about this show. If you ever watched the original, you know time travel never ever really happens. There's the Mykal-Michelle spell. That's only a few seconds. And any basic wizard can do that. But have you ever noticed there's never been no huge thing of time travel except for 2 times? The reason for that is because, well, the writers are kind of like, well, we can go back in time and we can just fix every bad thing Alex does. So they made it to where you have to be very, very powerful. In the movie, they had the family wand and the magic spell book. Both are extremely powerful tools, but together you could literally reshape the entire universe if you wanted to. And for the most part, that's kind of been written out of canon, the whole movie, except for when they brought the events up in like that episode where Mason and Alex were like in love and broke up, and then Juliet was there, and just that whole Valentine's Day type episode. I wish they didn't incorporate the movie, because I would just want to believe this is something in his own parallel dimension or something. Anyway. And then, of course, there's future Harper, where she said a very powerful wizard sent her back in time. I'm gonna assume that's Alex, because that's the most irresponsible thing Alex could do. Alex is very powerful. She is the head wizard of the family. And like, time travel isn't really something wizards do. So that's something Alex would totally break the rules with. Just to send her friend back in time and write a bunch of books and change history and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, why didn't they just make Billy Alex's daughter? So many people have been saying that. Then they could have been like, oh, Billy's either really powerful because of Alex, or the Dark Wizards are using Billy as bait to draw out Alex. Now we know Selena can't be in the show because she's in another show. That would have been like a great setup. They're looking for Alex. Alex has to give Billy to Justin, and then Alex has to go into hiding. That's a better way to write her off other than saying she's in a tribunal and she's trying to figure this out. Because not seeing her in the show don't make no sense. Not seeing the Dark Wizards all the time in the show don't make no sense. And this whole mysterious backstory with like Billy is dragging his feet. Another backstory that's dragging is why Justin got fired. We know it has something to do with a unicorn, and that's it. And it's just kind of like the writers are just dragging their feet with all these plot lines and everything, and they're making it very uninteresting. It has us guessing, whoa, what's this about? What's this about? And then when we find out, it better pay off. Because if it doesn't, then it's just going to be a type of like response that the fans are going to have. So that's the review of this episode. I just found it to be a filler episode, lackluster. It's really starting to show the writing on the wall of this series. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.